Important 2 marks questions from Unit 3. Write a note on hypercholesterolemia. Hypercholesterolemia can be defined as increase in plasma cholesterol concentration is known as hypercholesterolemia. Generally, the cholesterol concentration must be lower than 200 mg per dl in the healthy individuals. But in the case of hypercholesterolemia, the concentration of cholesterol in plasma can be increases more than 200 mg per dl. So that condition is known as hypercholesterolemia. It can be observed in diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, as obstructive jaundice, as well as in the nephritic syndrome. Hypercholesterolemia is associated with atherosclerosis and coronary heart diseases. In this condition, increased LDL concentration and as well as decreasing of HDL concentration. So LDL is a bad cholesterol, HDL is a good cholesterol. So if this condition is occur, the heart may be in the risk. Write a note on atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis can be defined as it is a complex disease characterized by thickening or hardening of arteries due to the accumulation of lipids, that is cholesterol, and collagen in the inner arterial wall. So generally the atherosclerosis, this is the blood vessel. So due to the accumulation of the cholesterol, the pathway of blood vessel can become narrowed. Then blood pressure will be increases and workload on heart increases. It is a progressive disorder that narrows and ultimately blocks the arteries, and this leads to the infarction. So infarction is nothing but stoppage of blood flow to that particular tissues. The coronary arteries are most commonly affected and are leading to the myocardial infarction and heart attacks due to the atherosclerosis. The causes of atherosclerosis is due to the increasing of plasma cholesterol and LDL concentration and decreasing of HDL concentration. Though write a note on fatty liver. So fatty liver can be defined as the increased accumulation of lipids in the liver is known as fatty liver. So lipids here, triacylglycerols can be accumulated in the liver whenever we consume excess of food. So that can be converted into triacylglycerol. So it is a storage form of fat that can be stored in the liver, that may lead to fatty liver. It occurs due to the increased synthesis of triacylglycerols. So the increasing of triacylglycerol synthesis can occur due to the diabetes mellitus or alcoholism or high fat diet consumption. And second reason is impairment in lipoprotein synthesis. Write a note on obesity. Obesity can be defined as it is an abnormal increase in the body weight due to excessive fat deposition. So excess calories intake or overeating may causes obesity. So in the lack of physical exercise also the obesity may develops. It is represented by BMI. So that is body mass index. How to calculate BMI is, so weight of the person divided by height of the person. So we get a body mass index. By that we can decide whether the person is in obese or not. Write a note on hyperbilirubinemia and jaundice. So jaundice can be defined as it is a clinical condition which is characterized by yellow color of the white part of the eyes, that is sclera, and skin also becomes yellow due to deposition of bilirubin. So bilirubin is elevated in the serum. Generally bilirubin concentration is 0.1 to 1 mg per dl is the normal range. If the concentration is increases more than 1 mg per dl, so that in that condition, so the skin and white part of the eye becomes yellowish. So that condition is known as jaundice. Hyperbilirubinemia, it is nothing but increased concentration of serum bilirubin, so more than 1 mg per dl. Bilirubin normal range is total bilirubin concentration must be 0.2 to 1 mg per dl. Unconjugated bilirubin is in the range of 0.2 to 0.6 mg per dl. The conjugated bilirubin range is 0.2 to 0.4 mg per dl. By the sum of unconjugated and conjugated, so the range should not crosses the 0.2 to 1 mg per dl in the healthy individuals. If the unconjugated and conjugated bilirubin concentration crosses more than 1 mg per dl, so that is known as hyperbilirubinemia or jaundice. The jaundice is of three types. One is hemolytic jaundice, hepatic jaundice, and obstructive jaundice. Hemolytic jaundice is mainly due to increased hemolysis of erythrocytes. It is mainly occurred due to the increasing of hemolysis. So erythrocytes rupturing may releases the heme part, and he can be converted into the bilirubin. Next one is hepatic jaundice. It is due to dysfunctioning of liver. Then third one is obstructive jaundice. It is mainly occurred due to obstruction in the bile duct. The bile duct which carries the bile juice from liver into the intestine, where that pathway is blocked, then we will call it as obstructive jaundice. Write a note on phenylketonuria. So phenylketonuria is the metabolic disorder of amino acid metabolism. It occurs due to the deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, the enzyme which can convert phenylalanine into tyrosine. So the deficiency of this enzyme is caused by autosomal recessive gene, so which can cause us increasing of phenylalanine concentration in the body, and it may lead to mental retardation and decreasing of melanin formation in the body. So the melanin concentration decreases, the pigment of the person may get decreases. The treatment for phenylketonuria is maintenance of plasma phenylalanine concentration within the normal range, that is 1 to 2 mg per dl is the normal range of phenylalanine. So we have to maintain this concentration by controlling of the diet. So by taking of low phenylalanine content food, we will control the phenylalanine concentration in the blood. Write a note on albinism. So albinism is an inborn error due to lack of synthesis of the pigment melanin. So melanin is the reason for the skin color. If the deficiency of melanin occurs, the skin does not get the proper color. So the person may be in colorless or white color. So that condition is known as albinism. So it is an autosomal recessive disorder. Melanin protect body from sunlight. Due to the lack of that melanin, so albino people cannot come into the sunlight. Why? Because they are become sensitive to the sunlight and they cannot tolerate it. The causes of albinism is the albinism occurred due to the deficiency of tyrosinase enzyme, which is responsible for the synthesis of melanin. So due to the deficiency of tyrosinase, the melanin synthesis cannot be occur. So albinism can be developed. Write a note on alkaptonuria, so that is black urine disease. It is a metabolic disorder of tyrosine due to the deficiency of homogentisate oxidase, causes accumulation of homogentisate in the tissues and blood, and it can be excreted into the urine. So that's why the urine may becomes darkened. So homogentisate generally convert into benzoquinone acetate in the presence of oxidase enzyme, and the benzoquinone acetate in the presence of polymerization, so polymerase enzymes, so it gets polymerized and it can be converted into alkaptone. So the alkaptone is having of black or brown color. So due to that, so the excretion of alkaptone, so urine may becomes black. So that's why a black urine disease we call it. Write a note on tyrosinemia. So it is also a metabolic disorder of tyrosine due to the deficiency of various enzymes which which are involved in the conversion of tyrosine into fumarate and acetoacetate. So the disorders are tyrosinemia type 1, tyrosinemia type 2 and tyrosinemia type 3. So these are the symptoms what we get in the respective disorder and the causes respectively. Write a short note on transamination. So transamination is the transfer of an amino group from an amino acid into a keto acid is known as transamination. In the process of transamination, so interconversion of a pair of amino acids and a pair of keto acids can be taken place. So one amine group from amino acid can be transferred into the keto acid. So the receiving of amine group, the keto acid can be converted into amino acid. So like that, so there is interconversion occurs between the amino acids and a keto acids pair. So amino acid converted into keto acid can be converted into amino acid by receiving of amine group. So this reaction occurs in the presence of transaminase enzyme and the coenzyme pyridoxal phosphate. It is very important for the reaction. Write a short note on deamination. Deamination means the removal of amine group from amino acid. So the removal is in the form of ammonia. So this process is known as deamination. In the process of deamination, there is liberation of free ammonia taken place. In the case of transamination, only transfer of amine group taken place. So no free liberation in the transamination. So no free liberation of ammonia in the case of transamination, but in the case of deamination, free ammonia can be liberated. So this process is of two types. One is oxidative deamination, then second one is non-oxidative deamination. So the oxidative deamination, in this one, so amino acid, that is L amino acid, may converted into keto acid and liberate ammonia with the help of oxidase enzyme. That is, oxidation can be taken place on the amino acid to liberate ammonia. But in the case of non-oxidative deamination, so amino acid liberate ammonia but without of oxidation. So in this one, serine and threonine can be liberate the alpha keto acid respectively in the presence of dehydrogenase enzyme. Write a short note on decarboxylation. D means removal. So removal of carbon dioxide from amino acid in the presence of decarboxylase is known as decarboxylation reaction. So the removal of carbon dioxide may forms amines. So this is the amino acid. Here you can see that the carboxyl group having CO2 moiety, so that can be eliminated in the presence of decarboxylase enzyme and PLP. So elimination of CO2 may result into the formation of only amine group or CH2NH2. It's known as an amine. Write a short note on serotonin or 5-HT. So 5-HT is also known as 5-hydroxytryptamine. So tryptophan is the bioprecursor for the synthesis of serotonin. So tryptophan is an aromatic amino acid. So in the presence of hydroxylase enzyme, so OH group can be developed at the fifth position of the tryptophan aromatic nucleus. So we will get a 5-hydroxytryptophan. Then upon decarboxylation with the help of decarboxylase enzyme, so removal of carbon dioxide from the 5-hydroxytryptophan, so it can be converted into 5-hydroxytryptamine. tryptamine. So this is also known as serotonin. So serotonin is a vasoconstrictor and controls the behavioral patterns, that is sleep, blood pressure, and controls the peristalsis and stimulate the brain. So deficiency of serotonin may cause depression and psychosis. For the happiness, serotonin has to be in the sufficient quantity in our brain. So if the concentration of serotonin decreases, the person may feel depression. Write a short note on metabolic disorders of urea cycle. So deficiency of enzymes which are involved in the urea cycle may causes various metabolic disorders. So in that, hyperammonemia type 1, hyperammonemia type 2, citrullinemia, arginosuccinic aciduria, hyperargininemia are the various metabolic disorders of urea cycle. So these disorders may be arises due to the deficiency of the enzymes which are involved in the urea cycle respectively. So all these disorders are causes increase blood ammonia concentration, which is known as hyperammonemia, and this leads to toxicity. Generally ammonia is toxic in our body, that's why it has to eliminate from the body in the form of urea. So urea is non-toxic. So if the enzymes involved in urea cycle, that is conversion of ammonia into urea, so the enzymes involved in that conversion of ammonia into urea is blocked, then it may lead to accumulation of excess of ammonia in the body. So that is known as hyperammonemia. Next, write a short note on omega oxidation of fatty acid. Omega oxidation means omega carbon is nothing but terminal carbon of a fatty acid chain is known as omega carbon. So that carbon may undergo for oxidation and it becomes hydroxy group, and finally it will converted into carboxylic group. So oxidation of omega carbon is known as omega oxidation. So it requires a cytochrome P450, NADPH and oxygen moieties. Write any 4 structures of amino acids. So we have 20 amino acids for biosynthesis of proteins. So among that, essential amino acids has to be supplied through the diet. Non-essential amino acids can be synthesized by the body. So glycine is having of hydrogen at R position, alanine having methyl group at R position, valine having isopropyl group at R position, leucine having 2-methyl propyl group at R position. So the remaining is general structure, it is common for all. So by keeping in mind that these R positions, you will easily write the structures. Write the structures of ketone bodies. So ketone bodies, acetone, acetoacetate, beta hydroxybutyrate are the ketone bodies. So these are the structures of ketone bodies respectively. Write a note on biological significance of cholesterol and draw its structure. So cholesterol is a structural component of cell membrane. So it is the precursor for synthesis of steroidal hormones, vitamin D and bile acids in the body. So the cholesterol is an essential ingredient in the structure of lipoproteins. Fatty acids are transported into liver as cholesterol esters for oxidation. So it is an amphipathic in nature because it has hydrophilic portion as well as hydrophobic portions. This is the structure of cholesterol. The cholesterol is having of 27 carbon atoms, and the general structure of cholesterol, the structure, if you observe this one, so you can see that this steroidal nucleus, which is known as cyclopentanoperhydrophenanthrin ring system. Write a note on conversion of cholesterol into bile acids. So cholesterol can be converted into 7-hydroxycholesterol in the presence of hydroxylase enzyme 7-alpha hydroxylase, and this 7-hydroxycholesterol after several steps can be converted into chenodeoxycholic acid and cholic acid. So by the combination of glycine, chenodeoxycholic acid can be converted into taro or glycocenodeoxycholic acid, and intestinal bacteria convert this one into lithocholic acid. So the lithocholic acid is the bile acid. So it is a secondary bile acid. Taro or glycocenodeoxycholic acid is the primary bile acids. After several steps, 7-hydroxycholesterol can be converted into cholic acid, and the cholic acid can be combined with taurine and form taurocholic acid. And cholic acid also binds with the glycine, give glycocholic acid. So intestinal bacteria convert glycocholic acid into deoxycholic acid. It is a secondary bile acid. Glycocholic acid and taurocholic acid are the primary bile acids. Write a note on conversion of cholesterol into steroidal hormones. So steroidal hormones can be produced from cholesterol. So cholesterol is the bioprecursor for the synthesis of steroidal hormones such as glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, progestins, androgens, estrogens. So examples for glucocorticoids are cortisol. Mineralocorticoid example is aldosterone. Progestin example is progesterone, aldosterone example is testosterone, estrogen example estradiol, estriol. So the cholesterol, which is having 27 carbons in its structure, so initially it converted into pregnenolone having of 21 carbons. Then after several enzymatic reactions, it converted into progesterone, which is also having 21 carbons. So from the progesterone, so it can be converted into cortisol, aldosterone and estradiol. Write a short note on conversion of cholesterol into vitamin D. So cholesterol is having of 27 carbons in it. So after several enzymatic reactions, cholesterol can be converted into 7-dehydrocholesterol. So it is an intermediate, so which is present in the skin. In the presence of UV light, so the 7-dehydrocholesterol can be converted into cholecalciferol, that is vitamin D3, active form of vitamin D. Write a short note on ketoacidosis. So the ketoacidosis can be defined as increase in the concentration of ketone bodies in the blood is known as ketoacidosis. So acetoacetate and beta hydroxybutyrate, so both are acidic in nature. So if the concentration of these ketone bodies in the blood increases, then blood becomes acidic. The pH of the blood becomes lower due to this ketone bodies releases H plus ions. So obviously the pH of the blood may get decreases. So how can we treat this ketoacidosis is by diabetic ketoacidosis. Generally in the diabetic condition ketoacidosis may be arises. So that diabetic ketoacidosis can be treated with the help of administration of insulin. Write a short note on de novo synthesis of fatty acid. The dietary carbohydrates and amino acid, when consumed in excess quantity, they can be converted into fatty acids and stored as triacylglycerols in the adipose tissue. So the new synthesis of fatty acids occur predominantly in liver, kidney and adipose tissue. So enzymes for the synthesis present in the cytosol of the cell. So the biosynthesis of fatty acid can be occur in 3 steps. So they are production of acetyl coenzyme A and NADPH in the first step. In the second step, conversion of acetyl coenzyme A into malonyl coenzyme A. In the third step, reactions of fatty acid synthase enzyme complex. So after these three steps, we will get new fatty acids.